Welcome back to Testin' with Destined. Today, I am going over MORIDEN. MORIDEN is the brand new limited, coming in a little bit over a week. It's a little under 2 weeks. Doesn't really matter. He's coming very, very soon, and he looks amazing, both with his design and also his skills. Now, his skills are very confusing. I'm going to try to break it down and then go into stuff like how he works, how good he is in bossing, because he is a bossing type of hero, and also single target, and maybe a little glimpse into GVG. I'm not going to go too deep into GVG because I'm planning on the Malric trials being their own video and the GVG going into their own video, because otherwise that would make this video way too long. I will be doing the same as well with every other hero. Stay tuned for that. That won't really be in this video too much. It'll just be kind of a glimpse. But anyways, his design is sick. The main reason why I got so hooked on Watchers, and I've been playing it consistently for 2 years, is because of the designs. These heroes look super sick, especially the new tactical masteries. I already covered Valera. Valera, probably my new favorite hero in the game. I don't know if she's my favorite yet, but she's so fun. I'm hoping MORIDEN is similar. He definitely looks like he will be amazing and a blast to play. But I'm rambling on, obviously. Let's get into the kit, right? I don't want to waste y'all's time, and this video is going to be long enough already. These things make a long time to make, so if you guys could hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, would help me out a ton. But let's get into the kit. So first of all, he is a Nightmare Esotericist unit of the new Tactical Mastery class. The new Tactical Mastery class. Now, he has a bunch of things going for him, but let's start with the stats. First of all, he has 2-tile range. If you guys remember my last video going over the kits, if you guys watched that, essentially if it's not 2-tile range or higher on a fighter, they are not worth anything. So the fact that it is 2 tiles is a big deal. Moving on to the rest of the stats, we have 28,000 HP, which is monstrous. We have 5,400 attack, which is really good. We have some solid defense stats, nothing too crazy, but it's nothing too bad either. 18 cost, 2 block, 2.6 second attack interval. He is wearing gear, so that's why it doesn't show it properly. We have normal Rager Den stats as well. Going into the kit, we have a lot of confusion ahead of us. Now, I do kind of understand how he works now. I've used him a little bit. It's very, very confusing. Before I get into the kit, you guys need to understand that he has his normal form, which is not named, I'm pretty sure. Then he has his charging state. And then he has the Prince of Darkness state. These are all different things, okay? So going into this, I'm going to try to explain it according to the states, but just keep in mind that he has 3 different forms of combat, all right? It's a little confusing, but bear with me here. First of all, with the talent, when deployed, triggers Deep Cleave that deals 300% defense penetration damage. This is this is like a translation error, I'm pretty sure. I think what they're trying to say is it does 300% damage and it defense penetrates, right? So it goes through 100% of the defense is how I read this. And it does 300% damage to one enemy in basic attack range. Correct me if you think I'm wrong, but that's how I am interpreting it right now. I will talk to the developer contact and hope to get it clarified, because it is very confusing, and I don't know what they're trying to go for. Then, if there are no enemies in range, enters charging state and gains 1 stack of Dark Infusion every 5 seconds. Dark Infusion is very important. The way it works is every single stack of this you have, it gains 10% attributes during the next Prince of Darkness state, and extends the state duration by 4 seconds, stacking up to 5 times, so 40 seconds, and you can get 50% more attributes. Now that is ridiculous, okay? But it cannot work when you're fighting like an Abyss boss, for example, because there is always an enemy in range. Keep that in mind. Moving on, at max stacks of Dark Infusion, which is the thing I just mentioned, changes charging state to restore 10 rage for the hero per second, which is good because his ultimate is a little bit on the higher side. It's like medium to high. So the more rage you get, the better. Also, animations are super sick. I'll get to that ability in a second. Basically, we already have established the charging state. When there's no enemies in range, he builds up attributes for when he starts to attack in the future. Moving on to the kit, we have the 120% damage to one enemy, which is very basic. I'm kind of worried about his GVG usage just because there's no AoE in his kit, but the thing is, this charging state is very clearly designed for Arena. It's clearly designed for GVG, where there's a lot of in-betweens, so I might be surprised. We'll see. Anyways, first passive during the ultimate, Soul Strike has a 25% chance to be enhanced, ignoring 60% of the target's defense and restoring 50 rage for the hero upon the cast. Soul Strike, all you gotta know is when he's in the Prince of Darkness form, which I will explain soon, bear with me here, it'll make it so there's a chance to ignore defense and restore rage. Second passive, after maintaining the Prince of Darkness state for 60 seconds in total, this implies that you can have it activated multiple times and it'll accumulate. It'll be cumulative, which is good. When he maintains it, he permanently increases 50% damage. Each enemy killed reduces the time needed to gain this effect by 5 seconds, which is good. It's really good for when he's killing things in single target arena in GVG. Like I said, he has viability there because of stuff like this. Now I'm skipping the Prince of Darkness because when we go into the ultimate, 1,000 cost, 700 initial cost, 20 seconds long, he chooses and teleports to an unoccupied ground tile within 3 tiles. Tactician class type ability. Upon arrival, triggers Whirlwind Strike, which is an immediate hit, dealing 600% defense penetration damage, 600% damage that defense penetrates, to one enemy within 2 tiles. Then he enters the Prince of Darkness. And this is where a lot of his power comes from, because his basic attack becomes Soul Strike, which deals 320% damage, also has a chance of ignoring defense with the first passive and restoring rage. Then, when he charges his power during the Prince of Darkness state, which is when there are no enemies in the range, is what it seems, he will grant 1.6% rage regen per second to allies within 2 tiles. And then you can't stack rage regen. So that's his kit. It's very confusing, but essentially he has the normal phase, which doesn't do much. He has the phase when he charges, when no one's in his range, and then he has the Dark Prince state, which is when you use his ultimate, it detonates it, as well as using the Dark Infusion stacks to keep it going longer. And because he's in this form, he's able to gain rage and defense penetrate, which allows him to cycle to it faster. So you're almost always going to be in it, and even then, once you're in it for a while, you're going to gain a 50% damage increase permanently. It is a permanent 50%. So as long as you can get to this fast enough, he's going to be a lot stronger. Now, bond skill wise, initial deployment cost reduced by 6. So he is a marksman cost if you have his counterpart, which not everyone's going to have, obviously, but it's important to mention. Anyways, he also gains max stack of Dark Infusion when he's deployed. So the second you click his ultimate, he's immediately going to be souped up, really strong, 50% more attributes, and he's going to start wrecking stuff. All right? Very, very, very strong. Awakening-wise is where it gets a little disappointing, but also something that I'm really glad. His awakenings simply are not really the level of the recent limiteds. All right? He's not Wukong and Kigiri level with awakenings. He's around that. He's around the level that he will be at A5 at A0, which in my opinion is a good thing, especially with the Choose Your Own Limited banner. So you only really need to think about this A1. The A1 during the ultimate increases the chance to trigger Enhanced Soul Strike with basic attack by 20%. Goes up to 45%. It's very strong because it lets you cycle his ultimates better and ignore more defense. Really, really strong A1. All right. A2, extra attack, never hurt anyone. A3, when triggering the ultimate at max stacks of Dark Infusion. If you have the bond skill, I do think the A3 is very strong. Gains an extra 10% boost to base attributes, but you do have to be at max stacks. And during Prince of Darkness state, when not in charging state, can also restore rage for nearby allies at half the normal value. This is the only way you're going to get extra rage regen in areas like Abyss. Alright? Keep that in mind. Very good awakening, but still not really Kigiri level. Then the A4 penetration, and the A5 is something you do not need to go for. No one needs to go for this. After maintaining Prince of Darkness state for the required duration, 60 seconds, less if he's killing, the hero gains extra physical damage reduction and magic damage reduction. Alright? Makes it so that he takes less damage. Maybe he could be used as a tank in Abyss. I don't know. But this A5 is not something you need to go for. A3 is very good if you have the bond. A1 is what we should all be trying to get. If we have the summons, obviously. Now, one more thing is he does have an exclusive artifact. Single target damage increased by 30%. Whirlwind Strike, which is what he gets when he teleports on his ultimate. And Deep Cleave, which Deep Cleave is on deployment. It looks like, I don't think it's anywhere else in his kit. That will instead also inflict 20% vulnerability, physical, and magic damage for 15 seconds. Now, you're not going to be able to cycle this ultimate that fast, but it is definitely a good bonus. And that 30% single target damage is insane. Now, gear-wise, I do have him in Soulbound. It's just the easiest thing. If Infernal Roar works, I'll test it and I'll get back to y'all. But I think Soulbound is the only thing that works. I don't want to make the build too unapproachable, so I did do Warlord. Keep in mind that if you're going to build someone like this, you want to really go for stuff like this. If you can, obviously these pieces are impossible to get. They're very hard. This is what you want to aim for. I'm doing Warlord because it's more relatable to the average player. So keep in mind that a lot of these tests I'm going to do, the other units are going to be built a little bit better than MORIDEN is. Okay? With that out of the way, let's get into the first thing. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to be turned off by this test, but this guy is confusing. So we need to go into something easy that I can show off how he works to really understand it. So here we have MORIDEN right here, the GOAT, not lorded up, with 2 tanks that are literally ungeared because it's easy content. And I need to show how he works, obviously. So first of all, I'm going to put him here on this tile. We place him down. He's in his normal form. He one-shots that guy because he comes in, does a big hit. Then he enters his charging state because there's no enemies nearby. Very, very important that we know about this. So this is the charging state. Every 5 seconds, he's gaining attributes. He also is healing because of the stage, not because he actually does that. So keep that in mind. Now, what we're able to do is we can click his ultimate. We can move him over here. He'll do a big hit because he's done charging. He goes out, he does the Whirlwind Slash, and now his attributes are higher. And as you can see, because he had such a long time without hitting anything, his ultimate is twice as long, and his attributes are far, far higher. So now, he's going to destroy everything in sight. Obviously, easy stage and all, but you get what I mean, right? This is the Prince of Darkness, or whatever, form, and that's only attainable if he's not attacking for a while. So just to, make it a bit easier to understand, that's how he works. Place down, deal damage. If no enemies are in range, he gets stronger. When you move him, he's going to start to destroy everything. Keep that in mind. And with that, we can get into the real content, starting off with Abyss. Now, I love Abyss. Abyss is probably my favorite content in the entire game. Believe it or not, I freaking love Abyss. I know it's not for everyone, but it's what I like to do. And with MORIDEN, I have made this team. Now, this is a poison team. Obviously, you could use him in an infernal team, especially with the hidden tech I'm going to show you with the tacticians. But for this, it's easy because I can literally just swap him back and forth, and everything else stays exactly the same, because obviously I have to show you guys how good he is on Nightmare, how good he is on Esso. And something interesting you might notice is we actually have 5 ground units, and that is by design, because I'm going to be able to avoid the meteors with the Tactician. It's very cool, very fun. I freaking love the design of these units. There's a lot of stuff you can play around with. This is essentially the team. We got the magic damage, we got the physical damage, yada yada yada. Let's get into the fight. Going into this, we're going to immediately pause so that we have a little bit of time to get our bearings and, you know, place things properly. Kigiri, Wukong, MORIDEN are stress testers. Then we put down our Invig right here, right here. And what you'll see is right here as well, which is kind of weird, but trust the process. Then I'm going to put down everyone else. And what you'll notice with this is we actually have... I should have swapped Vorn and Nastia, don't worry about it. But what you're going to see is we actually have 5 ground units. Now, this is never recommended, because very simply, it's very easy to big die. It's very, very easy to get rolled by the boss when the Meteoric Deluge comes out, and it's too hard to keep 5 ground units alive. But MORIDEN can sidestep that, which I'll show in a second. But we're going to click our ults the way you would kind of expect. I'm going to wait a tiny... no, I'll use it now. MORIDEN I do because I have the bond and he lasts double the length. It's kind of a double-edged sword. I need to click his ult immediately so that it comes up in time later. You'll see what I mean in a bit. As soon as the shield comes up, we're going to Wukong ult. I know this doesn't show the whole damage stats in the end screen, but for now, overall statistics, it does actually show it. We're going to click Kigiri and do as much damage as we possibly can. As you can see, MORIDEN is honestly kind of close to Sun Wukong. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close, honestly. And I think Esso's going to be a bit better, but we'll have to get there before we figure that out. But either way, now's where I show you guys why I have Narissa on the bottom and I have an extra ground unit. And that's because MORIDEN can move. Now, he's there because he needs a Diao-Chan buff, but we're in the magic phase. He's not doing any damage anyways. So, we're able to move him away from the Meteoric Deluge, and then when we get hit by it, he won't get hit. And we can move him back later. It's so cool. I love it. So much strategy in the littlest things with this new class. I freaking love it. Like I just said. But we're just gonna keep it going here. Hope that he comes back in time. He is a little bit slow on the Nightmare side of things, but we will ideally have him back very soon. His ult cost is somewhat high for what we're trying to do here. He's at about 90%, which is okay. And I could have ulted it a little bit sooner. Either way, we pop that. We put him back in the Diao-Chan range. He teleports in, does extra damage. And hopefully he shoots back up on the damage scores. MORIDEN, a lot of fun. Though I will admit, Sun Wukong and Kigiri are just too goated right now. It's a little bit hard to compete with them. Here we're just gonna try to break the shield. This is a very tough shield to break. We're gonna Kigiri. We're gonna blow it off. Keep in mind MORIDEN not doing shield damage. He's going to get a little bit of a benefit there. We're gonna deal damage there. Wukong barely missed it. That's my bad. But he's still doing a very solid amount of damage. Numera is a 3, and yet, you know, it's kind of close. Of course, Numera is gonna shoot up here because obviously she hasn't had the same amount of time to go, but it's still very, very impressive. MORIDEN, I wasn't paying attention, I'll be honest. I kind of messed it up. Either way, we're gonna break the shield, get the magic damage in, the proper amount of magic damage, and then I'll quit out. He does decent. I don't think this is his main use though, and I'll explain why later. But for now, damage-wise, this is where he's at. Wukong kinda did no damage. I'll admit, I don't know why the damage was so low. Kigiri, obviously number 1, and the poison comp is Awaken. That's probably why Wukong's so low. Either way, that's an A5 Wukong, just to verify that he is built. We got this. We got this. I do have more crit damage than I should, but Overall, this is not a bad Wukong build. And he did a lot less damage than I thought he would. So quickly, we do need to go into the Esotericist version, because obviously the Esotericist version is what I think will be better. So now he's on the Eso Lord. We're going to do the same exact thing with the Invigs and with a lot of the timings. And it's definitely very likely that he does a lot better. We're going to do everything else basically the same. Keep in mind that the other DPS are going to be a little bit worse off just because they have one less Nightmare unit. But at the end of the day, it's fine. We're going to click his ult there just so that we have time to get it back later. And it's going to last for the longest time. That's because we have Valera, and Valera Bond I cannot take off. So we have to just gear around it. We're going to wait a little bit, hit that Wukong, hit that Kigiri. A little bit early, but it doesn't matter too much. And then damage-wise, I think it's a lot closer. And to be honest, Moriden didn't have as much time in the vulnerable phase because I triggered him a little bit early. So, keep that in mind. Here, I'm going to trigger his ultimate, move him down as I did last time. We're going to click Aelin ult here as well, just to keep people alive. Another Numera, why not? Just maximize her. She's A3, which is an absurd awakening. So keep that in mind. We're going to Kigiri there. And we're going to keep it going. Beautiful. We get Numera going right there. Numera is insane, honestly. And we definitely have a little bit more of a team geared towards that sort of thing. Now we were able to move him a lot sooner, which allows him to do a lot more stuff, a lot more damage. He'll actually get his ult for the shield, which is amazing. And he's doing a lot better, I think. Now, obviously, he's not really comparing to some Wukong and all of that stuff, but that's okay. You know, it's A5 versus A0. It's kind of a big difference in Awakenings. Here we're going to click our Moriden ult, just because I need the help. And I kind of forgot to trigger Kigiri. Wukong's going to get a big advantage here that he shouldn't be getting, because I waited to ult on the vulnerability phase. Keep that in mind. It's a little bit skewed because I'm commentating, so there's going to be mistakes. Either way, it's pretty damn good. Though, of course, Numera got a hit at A3 with the whole poison comp. Bam. Oh shoot, I forgot to move him. Shit. I messed that up. It's fine, we'll end it in a second. I was not paying attention. Either way, you get what I mean, right? He's doing a really good job. Here, his damage is going to be a lot lower because a lot of it was on the shield. But remember, he was closer to around this part of the damage leaderboards. It's not absurd, groundbreaking, insane damage, but it's pretty good. And we haven't even done him awakened. Awakened wise, let me just quickly get him to that A1. Yeah, let's do the A1, I think. With the A1, I'm just going to run it pretty quickly. We're going to trigger his ult pretty fast. A little bit earlier than I should, but it's okay. I don't really mind too much if his damage is a little bit lower than you could get it. We're not going for any world records here, any 60k runs. We're just here to show off what he can do. Now, his damage is actually higher than Wukong's. Is that not kind of crazy? Now, obviously, Wukong's gonna do a lot of damage because he's gonna get more vulnerability time. But either way, A1 Moriden, comparable to a Sun Wukong, maybe. That's crazy to me. Now, obviously, we can move him and probably do more damage if I time it properly. But like I said, we're not going for any record here. Sun Wukong, even being a little better at A5, it's still impressive if Moriden's even comparable. Here, we're going to trigger Numera. We're going to wait for that Meteoric Deluge. See, I moved him a little bit sooner, just to be smart with it. We're going to click our Numera ult just immediately. And I'm actually going to keep him there for a little while, because I want to move him back when it's actually going to be damage on the shield, instead of it just being moving to move it. for the sake of moving, is what I meant to say. We're gonna move him now. Back here, we're gonna trigger the Numera ult, even though it's too late. Kigiri ult's a bit too late as well, so keep in mind, that's not perfect. When we move MORIDEN back, he's gonna do some damage there. As you can see, he's creeping back up. And we'll see what happens. I'm going to save the ults just because I'm worried about the shield a little bit. And we'll see what happens. Let me just, you know what? Let me use Kigiri for the shield, and then I can ult with both of these guys. And we'll see what happens. Once again, MORIDEN's getting an advantage. This time, instead of Wukong getting the advantage. But MORIDEN, I mean, only an A1, and it's kind of close, to be honest. And keep in mind, MORIDEN's also occasionally doing that vulnerability. Not super often, but it's still something valuable that he brings that Wukong doesn't. It's pretty good. His base HP also very high, which is very nice. Now, obviously, A5 Wukong is going to be a lot better. It's a freaking A5 Wukong. But the fact that it is not bad compared to, it's pretty cool, honestly. We're going to keep the damage out, keep the damage going, obviously. Numera doing God's work. And then we're going to lose here, because, of course, we lose here. And damage-wise, if we look at the damage stats, we are getting... Please, hurry up. Alright. We are getting Kigiri #1. The poison comps are built super well. Then we get Wukong and MORIDEN. And you can see there that Wukong was a bit closer to 50 mil. But even then, it's pretty good. And just because I know people are going to be like, oh, Destined, your Wukong and your MORIDEN are doing no damage. Well, that's because I tried to build them similarly. We got Wukong over here with some solid gear. Obviously, we got a quad here and a normal chest. And MORIDEN is in really mid gear for what we're trying to do. He has 1 crit damage main, some HP, which doesn't help him. And then he's not really using any Wicked Vengeance, which for Abyss is by far the best. I would want to use something like this, which you can see it's on Nastia. And... you know, you just gotta keep that in mind, right? If we go over to Numera, we're getting quad, we're getting HP, we're getting a quad, right? This is all what the poison team is wearing. So obviously it's gonna be a little bit skewed towards them. Quad and quad. You see what I mean? So just keep that in mind going into this, that I tried to build Wukong and MORIDEN because they were the comparing units. And everyone else is built kind of cracked. Now, there's a couple more things I want to do, but the main one is single target. So for single target, let me just quickly gear Eloin very fast with E4 Corp works just fine. For healing doesn't need to be that crazy. Basically, this is the team that I want to run. Now, all the gear is pretty similar to what I had for Abyss. Keep in mind that it's not perfect. But the main highlight here is going to be MORIDEN. You could run a Nightmare team, you could run really anything. I wanted to try an Esso team. Historically, in single target, Esotericists are not very good. Just to be completely honest, right? But if you have MORIDEN, he might actually make it possible. So here, what we're going to do first is we're immediately going to place MORIDEN. I could place him somewhere else if I wanted to, but we're going to go with that. I'm going to click his ult. He's going to stomp that guy into the ground. We're going to place down our Diao-chan right there. MORIDEN, because he's a tactician, can move kind of anywhere he wants. So keep that in mind. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. He's going to start channeling and then proceed to attack, which is pretty cool. I'm going to click... or I'm going to place... I think... we'll place Eloin just for some safety. I don't want to have to lose, right? Even though I don't think that's going to happen. Damn, his ult's almost back. Yikes. That's kind of crazy. Now, obviously, this isn't going to beat Valorant teams. This is not like a fleshed out team. Honestly, they're not even geared with full attack mains. So, it's going to be better if you guys do it, obviously. But we're just going to keep it going through this. right there, we put down Wukong. Also keep in mind that the faster you beat the rounds and the longer that your opponents take, the stronger he becomes, which is amazing. So Wukong finishes it off there. We're able to put down our Wood Elves just quickly to get Nestia back as soon as possible. We're going to click our ult right here. Bam! Almost one shot. That's crazy. Okay, he does over 400k a hit. That is ridiculous. We're going to be able to put down our Nestia, who is goated. I genuinely think that MORIDEN has a lot of potential in single target. Potentially, Esotericist could become meta. No, not full meta, obviously. It's very unlikely. Here, let me MORIDEN, kill that guy, then we Wukong immediately. Bam, instant dead. There's a lot of potential here. I mean, he's friggin' solo tanking effortlessly, and he's building up enough rage to live. I mean, there is a lot of potential. If you don't have a Valderon, maybe this actually will be good for you. I'm not sure. And you can see that for content that's more wave-based, you're going to get a lot more use out of him compared to stuff like Abyss. Because Abyss, while he is good, don't get me wrong, compared to an A5 Wukong, he was getting there, but it wasn't like definitively there. And stuff like this, I think he has a lot more potential. Like, hell, Nestia's not even helping. Here, let me do a Wood Elf because he's getting kind of low. We're going to click our ultimate. We're going to shred thanks to Nestia, who I know I just ragged on for being kind of weak, but it's fine. He's going to channel. We're going to kill this enemy, and then we're going to channel again, hopefully. I don't think we did. Either way, it's pretty good, honestly. This is better than I was expecting. Here we're going to be able to insta-kill. Hopefully we can heal up as well. And we're doing amazing, honestly. We just need to finish this, which is a little bit slow. Of course, Nestia targets the wrong guy, which causes us to lose, but it's fine, right? You guys see the vision, because I see the vision. I think there's potential here. If you're lacking a Valderon and you don't really have the means to make a good single target team, he might help. Look at that damage. That's really good, especially without attack mains or anything. I mean, he's not even built to be tanky, and he still can be used as a tank. Like, there's a lot of potential here that I think can be explored. And then we come to the final thing, which is, do I think he'll be good in GVG? The answer is maybe. I don't know, honestly. The thing is, he has a lot of base HP, which means he could potentially survive a long time. Generally want to run Cyrus if you can. Let's just put in a Carnelian. You can use Carnelian and Cyrus. Then we can kind of use... who's a good option? Shoot. Anora. Anora's really good. Obviously, where's Anora? Boreas Anora, maybe. Where's Anora? Am I blind? Yes, I am. Okay, there we go. They're ungeared. Once again, GVG video will be later. But just as an example, we could put like a Cyrus here. We could put a Boreas. We could put an Anora. We could put him, because he doesn't reach. The thing is, GVG right now is really crippling to units with 2 tiles. Especially Esotericist units are not great in this regard. Now, does he have potential? Maybe. But it's like the average team that you can think of is going to have some issues. It's kind of confusing, I'll be honest. So with that being said, what do I think about him? Well, first of all, he's limited, and he's a must pull. You cannot skip a limited, especially because unless you have an A5 Wukong and an A5 KIGIRI, he's still going to be really good in an Abyss, first of all. Second of all, he's 100% going to have content designed around him. I think you would have to be insane to think that there wouldn't be. Third of all, the gear is using is worse than the other people, so he definitely would overperform what I showed on your guys' accounts, most likely. Really, I'm a little disappointed, I'll be honest. I think I'm so used to the Diao-chan, the Wukong, the KIGIRI meta shifting champions that you need A5. And MORIDEN isn't really that. He's very fun. He's very good. But is he at the same level? The answer is no. He's not going to be. Though I will say, my favorite part about him is his A1 is like the only thing you need to get. Like, that is big. The fact that you don't need him A3 or A5 for his full potential is very nice. He's obviously tactical mastery, which, like I said, is very fun to play around with and has a lot more usage. If you think a little bit creatively, I think that's very valuable as well. But also, like I said, I don't think he's meta-defining. Now, he's a single target unit. He does do about 80% of Wukong's damage in Abyss. Wukong is A5, also max exclusive. That's not something to sneeze at. If you don't have an A5 Wukong, A5 Kigiri, you're going to use him in Abyss. Simply. Actually, you're going to use him. Now, aside from that, if you have those two options, you might not slot in, you might not slot him in. But, you know, like I said, he has some uses in the future, most likely, and he's a must-pull because he's limited. But I am kind of disappointed, but I think that's less him being disappointing and more the other units that came before. So with that being said, that's MORIDEN. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think there's something I missed? Do you think there's something I need to revisit with testing him that you would like to see instead? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. And that's it for me. Destined signing out.